Hello. Listen to the rain. It is the 14th century. The year is 1348. You are standing in a narrow street. The ground beneath your feet is not stone. It is mud. Wet, packed earth. Above you, the sky is gray. The rain washes down the walls of the wooden houses. The houses lean close together. They block the sun. They block the wind. Let us talk about the body. Your body, in the 14th century, is a mystery to you. You do not know about germs. You do not know about bacteria. You do not know why sickness comes. You only know that it does. This is a story about water, about dirt, about the smell of the past. This is a story about medieval hygiene. Do not look for horror here. Look for the quiet truth. Look for the slow, wet reality of life before soap. Close your eyes if you wish. Let the rain cover the sound of your own breathing. Let your mind drift backward. Back to the mud. Back to the cold. We will walk slowly through this world. We will look at the hands. We will look at the hair. We will look at the water in the barrel. There is no rush. The past is patient. Let us begin. Let us look at the skin first. In the 14th century, people did not wash their skin with hot water every day. They did not have hot water running from a pipe. They did not have a tap to turn. Water was heavy. Water was cold. Water came from a well in the center of the village. You carried it in a wooden bucket. You carried it up the hill. You carried it through the mud. By the time you brought the water home, your arms were tired. Your back ached. You did not want to pour this cold water over your body. You wanted to save it for drinking, for cooking, for the animals. So, the skin stayed dirty. But the people of the 14th century did not think of dirt as we do. They had a different map inside their heads. They believed in the four humors: blood, phlegm, black bile, yellow bile. They believed that health was a balance. Too much water on the skin was dangerous. It opened the pores. It let sickness enter the body. They believed that a layer of dirt was a shield. This is important to understand. A dirty body was a safe body. A clean body was a vulnerable body. So, a peasant would wake up in the morning. The sun was not yet up. The room was cold. The bed was straw. They would rub their eyes. They would scratch their arms. They would not reach for a towel or a basin. They would simply stand up. They would put on their tunic. The same tunic they wore yesterday. The same tunic they wore last week. Let us talk about that tunic. It was made of wool. Wool is itchy. Wool is thick. Wool holds sweat. It holds flakes of skin. It holds the smoke from the fire. The peasant wore this tunic every day. They slept in it. They worked in it. They ate in it. When the tunic got too dirty, they did not wash it with soap. Soap was rare. Soap was expensive. Soap was soft and did not last. Instead, they would beat the tunic with a stick. They would shake it in the river. They would hang it in the sun. The sun was the best cleaner. The sun was free. But the sun did not always shine. In England, in the 14th century, the rain fell often. The clothes stayed damp. Damp wool smells like a wet animal. It smells like the barn. That smell was everywhere. Inside the house, the fire burned. The smoke went up to the roof. The roof was thatch. The smoke turned the walls black. The smoke went into the wool. The smoke went into the hair. The hair smelled like a fireplace. Let us look closer at the hands. The hands worked the soil. The hands pulled the weeds. The hands milked the cow. The hands held the bread. Under the fingernails, there was always dirt. Black lines of earth. The people did not clean their nails with a metal tool. They did not have nail brushes. They used a twig. Or they used their teeth. But mostly, the dirt just stayed. The face was washed sometimes. In the morning, a person might splash cold water from the bucket onto their cheeks. They would rub their eyes. They would wipe their mouth with the back of their hand. That was the morning wash. They did not look in a mirror. Mirrors were made of polished metal. They were small. They were blurry. You could not see your pores. You could not see the blackheads. You could not see the small red bumps on your chin. Ignorance was a comfort. Let us talk about the hair. Long hair was common. Women wore their hair under a veil called a wimple. The wimple covered the neck. It covered the chin. It covered the ears. Under the wimple, the hair was matted. It was matted with grease. It was matted with sweat. It was matted with dust from the road. Lice lived in this hair. Lice are small. They are white. They bite the scalp. They drink a tiny amount of blood. The scalp itches. The people scratched their heads constantly. They scratched without thinking. They scratched while they prayed. They scratched while they walked. They did not have a shampoo. They did not have a fine-toothed comb made of plastic. They had a comb made of bone. The teeth of the bone comb were wide. They pulled out the big tangles. They did not remove the lice eggs. The eggs stayed. They hatched. More lice. More biting. More scratching. This was normal. This was the state of the skin. Now, listen to the rain again. Let the rain wash over the sound of the scratching. Let the rain fill your ears. We will move to the town now. We will walk down the main street. Watch your step. The mud is deep. The medieval town is not like your town. Your town has drains. Your town has sewers under the ground. Pipes carry the waste away. You flush a handle. The water spins. The waste disappears. In the 14th century, nothing disappeared. Everything stayed. Let us look at the street. The street is a path between two rows of houses. The houses are made of timber and wattle and daub. Wattle is woven wood. Daub is a mix of clay, straw, and dung. Dung. Animal waste. Mixed into the walls. The street itself is a river of mud. But it is not just mud. It is a mixture of many things. First, there is human waste. There are no toilets inside the houses. There is no indoor plumbing. There is a chamber pot, a clay pot kept under the bed. In the morning, the housewife opens the door. She looks left. She looks right. If no one is watching, she throws the contents of the pot into the street. The liquid splashes into the mud. The solids stay on top. This is not a secret. Everyone does this. The street is the toilet. Second, there is animal waste. Pigs walk through the town. Pigs are free. They eat the garbage. They eat the human waste. They leave their own waste behind. Horses pull carts. Horses stop. Horses leave piles of dung in the middle of the road. Children play around these piles. They do not know that the waste is dangerous. They only know that it smells. Third, there is butcher waste. The butcher kills a cow behind his shop. He cuts the meat on a wooden block. He throws the guts into the street. The guts are slippery. They are red. They attract flies. The flies land on the guts. The flies land on the bread in the bakery next door. The flies land on the face of a sleeping baby. No one connects the fly to the sickness. Now, let us look at the water. In the center of the town, there is a well. The well is deep. The water comes from the ground. But the ground is full of the waste from the street. The rain falls. The rain washes the waste into the soil. The soil filters slowly. But it does not filter everything. The well water tastes dirty. It smells like the earth. People drink it anyway. They have no choice. There is also the river. The river runs past the town. The tanners use the river. They soak animal skins in the river. They use urine to cure the leather. Urine is easy to collect. It comes free from the human body. The tanners pay children to collect urine in buckets. The children bring the buckets to the river. The tanners pour the urine into the water. The river turns yellow. Downstream, another woman fills her cooking pot from the same river. She boils the water. She does not know why boiling helps. She only knows that boiled water tastes less bad. She makes soup from the boiled water. The soup is safe enough. But still, she drinks the memory of the leather. Let us talk about the smell. You cannot describe the smell of a 14th century town. It is too thick. It is too layered. There is the sweet smell of rotting hay. There is the sharp smell of old urine. There is the heavy smell of wet wool. There is the sour smell of garbage sitting in the sun. There is the brown smell of the mud itself. And under all of this, there is the smell of smoke. Every house burns wood. The smoke hangs over the town like a blanket. It never leaves. It gets into your lungs. It makes you cough. But it also covers the other smells. It gives you a break. The people do not notice the smell. They were born into it. Their noses have turned off. They only notice when the wind changes. When a fresh breeze comes from the field, they take a deep breath. They smile. They say the air is sweet. But the wind always dies. The smell always returns. Now, let us go inside a house. The rain is getting heavier. Let us step through the door. The door is low. You must duck your head. Inside, it is dark. The only light comes from the fire. The fire is in the center of the floor. There is no chimney. The smoke rises to the roof. It swirls around the rafters. Your eyes sting. Sit down on the dirt floor. The floor is packed earth. It is hard. It is cold. There is straw on top of the straw. The straw hides the bones that the dog chewed. It hides the crumbs from yesterday's bread. It hides the mouse droppings. Look at the corner of the room. There is the bed. It is a wooden frame with ropes across it. On the ropes, there is a straw mattress. The mattress is 2 years old. The straw inside is crushed. It is broken into dust. There are fleas in the straw. Fleas jump. They bite your ankles. They bite your wrists. They are small. They are fast. You cannot catch them. You learn to live with the fleas. You learn to live with the itch. You learn to live with the red bumps on your skin. This is the street. This is the stream. This is the house. We will rest here for a moment. Listen to the rain on the thatch roof. Listen to the drip, drip, drip into the bucket. Close your eyes if you are tired. The past is not going anywhere. You might be wondering, did they ever wash at all? Yes. Sometimes. But not in the way you think. In the 14th century, there were bathhouses. These were public buildings. You paid a penny to enter. Inside, there was a large wooden tub. The tub was filled with water. The water was heated by a fire underneath. The bathhouse was a warm place. It was steamy. It was dark. Men and women bathed together. This was normal. This was not a secret. But the bathhouse was not clean. Think about the water. The water in the tub did not move. It did not drain. It did not filter. The first person entered the tub in the morning. They sat in the hot water. Their dirt floated off their skin. Their sweat mixed with the water. Then the second person entered. Then the third. By the end of the day, the water was gray. It was thick. It had a film on the surface. The bathhouse keeper did not change the water every day. Water was too heavy to carry. Wood was too expensive to burn. The same water stayed in the tub for a week. So, when you went to the bathhouse, you did not get clean. You sat in the soup of 100 other bodies. You traded your dirt for their dirt. Many people knew this. They stayed away from the bathhouse. They preferred the river. The river was cold. The river was fast. The river moved. In the summer, children jumped into the river. They splashed. They laughed. They rubbed their arms with sand. Sand was the scrub. Sand scraped off the dead skin. But the river was also dangerous. The water was cold. The current was strong. People drowned. People caught cramps. People got sick from the cold shock. So, most people did not swim. Most people stayed dirty. Let us talk about herbs. Since they did not use water, they used smell. They used flowers. They used plants. They used dried lavender. A wealthy woman would carry a pomander. A pomander was a small metal ball. It was shaped like an apple. It opened in the middle. Inside, there were spices, cloves, cinnamon, rose petals. She held the pomander to her nose. She breathed in the sweet air. The sweet air blocked the smell of the street. It blocked the smell of the unwashed people around her. She thought the spices protected her from sickness. She thought the bad smells made you ill. She thought the good smells kept you well. This is called the miasma theory. Miasma means bad air. The people believed that sickness came from the smell, from the rot, from the decay. So, they carried flowers. They burned sage. They placed bowls of vinegar in the corners of the room. Vinegar smells sharp. It cuts through the smell of the house. They also used herbs in their clothes. They sewed bags of dried rosemary into the seams of their tunics. Rosemary smells like the forest. It is a clean smell. When they moved, the rosemary crushed against their bodies. The oil released. For a moment, they smelled like a garden. Then the smell faded. The smell of smoke returned. Let us look at the hands again. The hands that ate the food. Before a meal, a wealthy person might rinse their fingertips in a small bowl of water. A servant brought the bowl. The person dipped only the tips of their fingers. They wiped them on a cloth. The cloth was used by everyone at the table. A poor person did not rinse at all. They wiped their hands on their tunic. They wiped their mouth on their sleeve. The sleeve was already dirty. A little more dirt did not matter. They ate with their fingers. There were no forks. Forks were from Italy. Forks were for the strange foreigners. In England, you used your fingers. You tore the bread with your fingers. You picked the meat off the bone with your fingers. You licked the grease from your thumb. Then you wiped your thumb on the table. The table was wood. The wood was stained black from years of grease. Now, let us talk about the teeth. The teeth in the 14th century were not white. They were yellow. They were brown. They were worn down. The bread they ate was coarse. It was full of grit from the millstone. The grit ground against the teeth. It wore away the enamel. The teeth became flat. They became sensitive to cold. They did not have a toothbrush. They did not have toothpaste. They used a wet cloth. They rubbed the cloth across their teeth. Sometimes they used salt. Salt is a rough crystal. It scrapes away the film. But mostly, the teeth just decayed. Toothaches were common. The pain was deep. It spread to the jaw. It spread to the ear. There was no dentist. There was no filling. There was only the blacksmith. The blacksmith pulled teeth with a metal tool. The tool looked like a pair of pliers. It hurt terribly. But the pain ended. The tooth was thrown into the fire. The fire burned the tooth to ash. The ash was gray. The ash was light. The wind took the ash away. We will stay in the house for a moment longer. The rain is soft now. The fire is low. Let your breath slow down. Let the smell of the rosemary fade. Let the darkness settle. The year is 1348. The ship arrives at the port. The sailors are sick. Their skin is black. Their glands are swollen. They have a fever. They are dying. This is the Black Death. The plague comes to Europe. It moves fast. It moves through the fleas on the rats. The rats live in the straw. The rats live in the thatch. The rats live in the street. No one knows about the rats. No one knows about the fleas. They only see the sickness. They see the black lumps on the neck. They see the purple spots on the skin. They see death. And they are terrified. What do? They try to clean. But they clean the wrong way. They do not wash with water. Water is dangerous. Water opens the pores. The plague is in the air. If you open your pores, the air enters your body. You will die. This was the belief. So, the people stopped washing entirely. They stopped rinsing their faces. They stopped dipping their fingers in the bowl. They stopped going to the bathhouse. The bathhouse closed. The bathhouse was a place of sin. The bathhouse was a place of open pores. They covered their bodies with dry clay. They covered themselves with mud from the riverbank. They believed the clay sealed the pores. The clay was a shield against the bad air. They carried extreme smells. They held onions to their noses. They held garlic. They held hot irons. They walked through fires to burn the bad air away. They did not change their clothes. The clothes held their sweat. The sweat was a part of them. To remove the sweat was to remove a layer of protection. Let us look at the doctors. The doctor wears a strange costume. He wears a long black coat. He wears leather gloves. He wears a mask that looks like a bird. The beak of the bird is long. It is hollow. Inside the beak, the doctor puts herbs. Mint. Lavender. Camphor. The doctor believes the herbs filter the plague out of the air. He breathes only through the beak. He does not touch the patient with his bare hands. He uses a stick to point at the sores. The doctor does not wash his coat. The coat is already covered in the breath of 100 sick people. But that does not matter. The air is the enemy, not the coat. Let us look at the streets now. The streets are empty. The pigs are gone. The children are inside. The only sound is the bell. The bell tolls for the dead. The bell tolls slowly. The sound vibrates in the wet air. The dead are not buried in the ground. There are too many dead. The gravediggers are sick. The gravediggers are tired. The bodies are thrown into a pit. A deep pit at the edge of town. Lime is poured over the bodies. Lime is white. It burns the skin. It makes the bodies disappear faster. The pit fills. The smell from the pit is different. It is not the smell of the street. It is the smell of sweet rot. The smell of meat left in the sun. The people stay inside their houses. They do not open the windows. They do not open the doors. The air inside is thick. It is the same air they have been breathing for days. It is full of the smoke from the fire. It is full of the dust from the straw. It is full of the breath of their family. They are not clean. Their hands are black. Their faces are greasy. Their hair is matted with lice. But they are alive. And that is enough. The plague passes. It takes 3 years. It kills half the people in Europe. Half. 1 out of every 2 bodies. When it is over, the survivors do not return to the bathhouse. The bathhouse is gone. The memory of the plague is too strong. They remember that the people who washed died. They remember that the people who stayed dirty lived. This is not science. This is trauma. For the next 200 years, Europeans wash less and less. They believe water carries sickness. They believe steam opens the skin to death. They wear the same shirt for weeks. They wear the same dress for months. The dirt builds up in layers. The dirt becomes a second skin. A black skin. A hard skin. Let us look at a king. A king in the 15th century. King James I of Scotland. He was considered very clean. How often did he wash? Once a year. Once every 12 months. He washed his entire body in a tub of warm water. He used soap. He used a cloth. He washed his hair. He washed his feet. The people thought this was strange. The people thought the king was weak. Why did he need to remove his natural protection? Why did he want to be vulnerable? The king did not care. He was the king. He washed once a year. The rest of the population washed less. Let us sit in the quiet now. The rain has almost stopped. The bell has stopped tolling. The plague is over. The mud remains. The dirt remains. We have walked through the mud. We have seen the street. We have smelled the smoke. We have felt the lice on the scalp. This was the 14th century. This was the grim reality of medieval hygiene. There were no clean hands. There were no white teeth. There was no hot bath at the end of the day. There was only the rain. The cold rain that fell on the thatch. The rain that washed the waste into the river. The rain that filled the bucket by the door. The people of the past were not stupid. They were not lazy. They were doing their best with the map they had. Their map did not have germs. Their map did not have soap. Their map had miasma. Their map had humors. Their map had fear. They survived. They scratched. They ate with dirty fingers. They slept in dirty straw. They lived short lives. 30 years. 40 years if they were lucky. But they lived. And now, you are here. In the quiet. In the dark. The rain is soft. The fire is low. You are clean. Your skin is clean. Your hair is clean. Your hands are clean. The water in your house runs from a pipe. It is hot. It is safe. Let that knowledge settle into your bones. Let the gratitude be soft. Let the gratitude be quiet. You do not need to scratch. You do not need to hold an onion to your nose. You do not need to fear the air. You only need to rest. The past is over. The mud is dry. The bell is silent. Listen to the rain. It is just water now. Gentle water. Falling on a safe roof. Breathe in. Breathe out. Your eyes are heavy. Your body is warm. Sleep.